It doesn't really happen for me. Nobody wants to go to a dance with me or hold a boombox over their head outside my room while I'm trying to sleep. I'll pick up the tab. My treat.
Zeke, no.
Jimmy Jr., go get!
Hello friends and welcome to my commentary corner. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back because I love having you in my corner. Today is just kind of a different day. I know my background looks different. I'm currently in my living room because I just can't, I don't know. I feel weird. Today is a weird and sad day. And not because anything weird or sad is happening. It's internal and I think my hormones are all over the place. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I feel like lately I've been feeling just a little burnt out with like social media. So I feel like I just needed to change it up a little bit so that I didn't continue associating making videos and sharing fun content with you guys along with like the space that I go to. I don't know if that makes sense, but I needed to change it up so that it didn't start feeling like too much routine. I like routine, but like it gets to a point, you know? So anyways, right now the lighting is not the most perfect and the setting behind me is a little messy. Sorry about that, but you know what? I think I need it for my mental health at the moment. So we're here and we're gonna talk about Bob's Burgers season 16 part 2. We're finishing it up. So let's jump into it. I'm terribly sorry that I left you guys on a cliffhanger last time, ending on episode 5, but I was getting out another video by that Friday and it was just far too much and I had a lot more to say about particularly the first episode of season 16 than I thought I would. So yeah, I just made a clean break right in the middle. And of course, season 16 is still not finished. There should be another 5 episodes that they come out with. But of course, there has been some news that the voice actor of Gene got into a really bad car accident. Apparently he's okay and he's recovering, but I saw just some pictures from that and that was really scary. So just prayers for him, well wishes, and I hope that he recovers very soon. Okay, so moving on into the next episode of the season, which is episode 6 called Get Her to the Zeke. I think I can almost confidently say that this is probably my second favorite episode out of the season so far. The first being the first episode and the pre opening. Of course, I love it because it's Zeke centered. I love it whenever Zeke gets screen time because he is a fantastic side character. And I've talked about him briefly before, but I feel like I want to do a whole video just spotlighting him. I just feel like he's such a crowd favorite and there's a lot to be said about Zeke. So I think I might do that. If you want to see a Zeke video, put that down in the comments. But the 8th grade dance is coming up and Tina is wanting to go with Jimmy Jr., but Jimmy Jr. doesn't want to go without Zeke and he knows that Zeke doesn't have a date. So he's like, sorry, can't go, which we all know Jimmy Jr. has this weird attachment to his best friend. May or may not have feelings for him. We don't know. But regardless of that, whether it's romantic or not, he's attached to Zeke and wants to do everything with him. So then Tina decides to try and get Zeke a date so that they can go on a double date. She finds this new girl, Penelope, to go with Zeke, but Penelope suggests that they get to know each other the night before just to see if they, hit it off, have any chemistry, which is fair. It's like, okay, you just kind of see what's up before you commit to this. She suggests this baked potato place. Everything seems like it's gonna be fine until they get there and realize she's the worst. She chose this place and doesn't want to eat any of their stuff because she doesn't eat round foods.
So, what's in the lunchbox?
Food. I don't like potatoes.
What?
I don't like round food, so my mom packed me meatballs. She makes them into cubes.
But you chose this restaurant.
I did. I like the temperature in here.
I'll get you some waters.
I brought my own. I would like a plate of ice.
Of course.
Brings all of her own ingredients, all of her own stuff because she doesn't trust their food. She's just giving off the worst vibe from the get-go and just continues to get worse and worse to the point where like she makes Tina look normal. And we all know that Tina is a weird girl, but like this girl is next level cuckoo. Tina is like, yeah, we can't let Zeke go with this girl. She's driving us crazy. Sorry, I had to take off my sweater because I was just getting really hot. But anyways, now it's a mission to try and convince Zeke to dump this girl and not go with her.
Is it just me, or is Penelope extremely annoying?
Yeah, she's awful.
Zeke cannot ask her to the dance. You gotta pull Zeke aside and tell him not to ask her.
Okay.
I totally forgot to mention, I'm a firm believer that I think Zeke and Tina very much could be endgame. Or he's mentioned here and there that, like he's had a crush on her. He knows like her favorite thing and where he would take her on a date, that he's gonna marry her someday. So all of these kind of hints that he's dropped throughout, the connection that he has with her family. It just all kind of lines up that they could very well be a couple in the future. And he shows up to the date dressed to the nines, brought a flower and everything, and he's never been on a date before. And he is prepared. He's a gentleman. Jimmy Jr. shows up with nothing. He shows up like dressed, fairly nice, but he's not prepared. Probably a reflection of his father because, yeah, it's just more brownie points for Zeke, of course. Tina girl, what have you ever seen in Jimmy Jr. other than his butt? But Zeke is like, I don't know why you guys are trying to convince me to not go with Penelope. She's the first girl who's showed any interest in me. I need to take what I can get, basically. He doesn't know like what good treatment is, what a person who likes you is supposed to act like. He doesn't know any of that stuff. So he's just taking what he's given and being grateful for it, even though she's treating him horribly.
Ew, sorry, but I don't like other people chewing, so how about like 3 chews max?
Oh, okay. I can handle some feedback, girl.
And make sure that your mouth is completely closed.
They finally convince him by the end of things that they should just go as the 3 of them friends, like as a throuple, basically. They present it to him as like, you deserve to be loved, and we know how to show you proper love, and we will appreciate you how you're supposed to be appreciated.
Zeke, will you go to the dance with us? Us?
Yeah, me and Jimmy Jr., the 3 of us. Listen, you do deserve love and romance, and you do deserve to go to the dance with someone. But it should be someone, or maybe 2 someones who appreciate you, who want to just let you be you. And I think the 3 of us will actually have a lot of fun at the dance together. And you can chew as many times as you want.
After putting in all of this effort for people who just will not reciprocate that effort back, I just really appreciated that because I feel like all of the people that Zeke hangs out with are pretty selfish. And granted, like they're all middle school kids, so like it tracks, but he is just exceptional in his humility as such a young kid. So I feel like Jimmy Jr. and Tina kind of had to learn a lesson in that. And something that is really ironic is that Jimmy Jr. was getting on Zeke, telling him how much Penelope just doesn't appreciate him and doesn't see his value. And I'm like, yeah, she sure doesn't. And reminds me of a certain someone. We're looking at you, Jimmy Jr. You do not see Tina's value. You do not appreciate her. And Tina's not perfect, okay? We're not saying she's perfect, but you certainly are exhibit A of this. So it was ironic but funny. And clearly he is starting to see how that can affect another person. Unfortunately, he hasn't gotten around to that with himself and Tina, but baby steps. I appreciated that episode. I really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that they kicked Penelope to the curb because she was whack as a mess. Moving into episode 7, which is Tube for Tina. I feel like this episode was a bit weak. I'm not gonna lie. So the plot basically surrounded Tina going to a Boys for Now concert with her friends. She's getting older and wanting to go out late and things like that. Just be a teenager. And she needs a new outfit for the concert. And she finds this sparkly tube top at the store that she really, really likes. And her mom is uncomfortable with it. And Linda is trying to find any excuse possible to get her to not buy it, to direct her attention away from the tube top.
Mom, can we get it?
I don't know.
Can I please just try it on?
Or maybe you try this on. Oh, gosh. I mean, wow.
I love it. Do you love it?
Yeah. It's totally fine that so much of your skin is showing.
I feel like the whole time I was just kind of confused. Now, Linda came out with her reasoning as to why she was uncomfortable with it, talking to Bob about it first, and her mom also like solidifying this thought in her mind that, oh, well, what you wear like shows who you are to the world, and like basically calling her a little hoe if she showed skin. That then, I guess, shaped kind of a worldview for her. But it was confusing to me because Linda tends to be a pretty liberal mom, like her kids, she's very lax with them. And pretty much whatever they want to do, she lets them do, whatever makes them happy. So it was just interesting seeing that this is something that she was so uncomfortable with. Like, it's not something that I would have imagined her being uncomfortable with, but I understand people are complicated and it could happen. And so maybe that makes her a bit more human, but it just didn't seem consistent with her character to me personally. I don't know if it did for you, feel free to explain why you think that. And then the tube top ends up getting donated accidentally, but Tina accuses her mom of getting rid of it on purpose. Linda didn't, but she thought about it and had to admit that and admit why it made her uncomfortable. And
why do you hate my tube top so much, Mom? Yeah?
Because
Because why?
you look like a hoochie hoochie. Sorry, floozy doozy, a skanky panky.
It was interesting, I think, just getting to see like how it can even be uncomfortable sometimes for a parent to be like honest with their kids, brutally honest with them. Not every parent is like that, but I'm sure it can be like that, especially if you maybe want to be your kid's friend. And I personally don't agree with that philosophy. Like, I think you can do that once they're an adult and once they're older, but as a kid, having structure and discipline, I think is important. But anyways, I'm not a parent yet, so that's not necessarily my place to talk about. So that part, I guess I appreciated. And by the end of it, Tina just had to express like, Mom, that's not me. I'm not like just trying to be a floozy or whatever.
Well, I think I look really nice in it, so I'm sorry you don't like it.
And she had to trust in her own daughter's character. So anyways, it was just kind of weird, but she accepted it and let her daughter make her decisions and go, and Tina was happy, which is cool. But the plot felt a little weak, to tell you the truth. And I don't even know, because it's like, of course, this was all surrounding just a tube top and like how Linda felt about the tube top versus how Tina felt about it. And it was deeper than that. And there have been other episodes that have been centered on something much less important. But I don't know, the feel of it just felt a little weaker to me. I don't know. Moving on into episode 8, which is Les Lizardables. I think that's how you pronounce it because it's supposed to be a nod to Les Miserables. I think this one also was kind of weak. I also kind of skipped this episode. I haven't seen this season more than a couple times, but in the couple times I've seen it, I don't like watching it. I'm not a reptile girl. I don't like reptiles. And the fact that this was all surrounding a lizard just made me feel like icky. The lizard looked a little realistic, and so it just like made me feel uncomfortable. I hate like the way that they like wriggle, like ugh, it just gives me goosebumps and not in a good way. And of course this one, like Gene was wanting to have like an identity. He wanted to be known for something, and so he took the identity of Lizard Guy after him and Courtney found this skink. Then they became like makeshift parents for this lizard, but then turns out Gene was a horrible dad or caretaker and left all of it to Courtney and just wasn't very responsible. And so I guess in that I appreciated it because it kind of continues that storyline for Gene, and that he's always struggled with being responsible. I mean, is definitely like ADHD and just like becomes easily distracted. He's also a kid still, but definitely immature. And so Courtney was fed up and finally like dropped. Sorry, my SD card was full, so I had to delete some things off of my camera. I feel like there are forces conspiring against me today that do not want me to succeed in making this video and being productive. I will not let those forces win though. We're making this video, dang it. The last thing I was talking about was Gene just being an irresponsible lizard dad and Courtney being fed up with it. So then Courtney went and dropped the lizard off at his house and was like, you take him because you promised that you would co-parent and you're not doing your part. So here's your lizard son.
What's going on?
What's going on is that we were supposed to take care of this lizard together, Gene, but all you do is come by sometimes, take the lizard and walk around, eat all of my chewable vitamins, and then leave.
So he's trying to take care of the lizard unsuccessfully. The lizard loses its tail. Gross. But then he learns a valuable lesson, becomes more responsible, takes care of lizard son, gets much better at it. Woohoo. Again, I don't know. It felt like kind of a weak plot to me personally, but maybe that's just because I hate reptiles. I'm sorry to anyone who's watching who loves reptiles. More power to ya. I cannot relate. That's okay though. Moving on into episode 9 called A Stunterful Life. And this is the Christmas episode, which people were saying they didn't think that there was going to be one. So I guess it was a nice surprise that there was a Christmas episode that they came out with this season. So the Belchers go to a tree farm to get a tree. I remember talking about all the Christmas episodes this past December and expressing like my family has never gotten a real tree. We've always gotten artificial trees. And I was surprised to see the number of people in the comments who still get real trees just for like the smell of pine and all of that, which makes sense. But yeah, it does seem kind of like a hassle to me personally, just because like you only get one use out of it. But I know it probably is just more for the tradition of it and sentimental value and all of that. So they go, and Bob, Linda, and the kids all have their own different experiences at this tree farm and like little adventure that they go on. Bob stays inside and decorates cookies and basically becomes like a cookie decorating expert and shows everybody how to make good decorations on their cookies and ice them properly. And he's super into it. And honestly, I kind of love it because he's just so in his element, because he's such an artist and loves being creative, and he like being able to share that with other people just makes him happy. So that was just fun. Linda is on a mission to try and save the, I'm gonna call them Charlie Brown trees, because they're just like the runt of the litter, basically. Like they're just the ones that nobody wants. And of course, Christmas trees to Linda are like turkeys for Bob. She's obsessed with them and feels like they have a heart and soul in life and being. So she goes and tries to save these trees, and she does. So that's the thing. They just have all these gross, weird Christmas trees at the house after that. But she just can't bear to let them go. And then the kids run into Logan on the train that runs through different lights and decorations and all of that. Logan's family goes to this tree farm every year, and he goes on the train and like does stunts to entertain himself, which of course Louise decides she can't let Logan show her up. So then she joins along in the stunting, the parkour. You know what? I find it funny and a missed opportunity that they didn't use the word parkour, because I feel like that's basically what they were doing. But of course, it's a lost art form. So they end up losing this kid's teddy bear stuffed animal thing and have to get it back. And the only way that they can do that is by working together, these mortal enemies. So Louise and Logan, she has to climb on his shoulders to go and get this stuffed animal, is able to get it, but then has to do this super duper cool stunt to be able to get back on the train. And it's like very Die Hard style, just action movie, all of that. And it was pretty cool.
I'm running!
Louise, no! Don't do the tunnel thing! Just do safety!
My undercarriage.
But I feel like it was interesting seeing a different side to Logan. He is definitely still a butt, super immature and kind of the worst sometimes, but this was a redeeming moment for him. And I appreciated it because, again, it shows that people are not black and white and they have different facets to them. And so Logan is not all bad, as we saw from this episode. And it's just interesting, you know, it's kind of cool to see how Logan was able to have fun and Louise was able to have fun despite their differences and hatred of each other. And then the last episode that is currently out is Heist, Things Are Heist, which is episode 10, of course. This one, I didn't like the ending. So the story for this one is that the restaurant gets awarded like best dive or something like that. They get a nice award and are invited to go to King's Head Island to prepare food for people and for an event and receive their trophy and just get recognized for it. And so it's a big opportunity and huge for the restaurant. So they're all excited. Bob is probably the most excited, and it just feels like after years of hard work, he's finally getting some recognition. Well, they get there, they're having a great time. It's time for Bob's Burgers to go and take their picture with the trophy, and they find out that they're not allowed to take the trophy that's there with them.
Don't I get to keep it?
Yours will arrive in the mail in 8 to 10 weeks after you pay the $200 manufacturing and engraving fee. All the info is on the website.
The $200? I thought it was an award.
And so he's mad. He's like, I feel like this is a scam. Now, I'm not upset that Bob is upset because that's absolutely whack. So I'm not familiar, like, it's not like I've really gotten trophies like that. Is this a thing? Does this happen that like you have to pay for the trophy and get it engraved and all that kind of stuff and pay all kinds of money just to display it? Because I always assumed that it's a gift. And of course, that's what Bob was assuming and what it should be, but it wasn't. But I'm assuming, I guess, that it does happen if they put it in there. That was really lame. And so basically the kids then decide to steal the trophy for their dad. And at first they're very unsuccessful because the woman who is guarding it is like a hawk. And she's kind of the worst. Like, she's just really mean.
Ah! Hey! Put that back!
Give me that trophy!
I will destroy you!
Why are you being so weird about this?
And so they then enlist the help of a man named Vincent, who is there at the event, who they know used to be a thief. And he basically gives them advice on how to pull off this job. And they do it successfully. And it's actually really cool because it becomes a whole Ocean's operation and they pull it off. And it's really satisfying to see how they pulled it off because they were able to replace this trophy and nobody was the wiser.
You had to look like a thief who's bad at his job.
Then there was that super cool girl who used her sister's ears to make it seem seem like we were all behind the sculpture when we weren't?
The decoy trophy made of cake stuff, that was pretty good. Because they had to do the switch and wobble the table just so.
Especially the guy who stepped in front of the assistant lady at the perfect time to slow her down. Oh, right. That was me.
But what I didn't like about this episode and how it ended is that Bob stayed grumpy the entire time, but so grumpy that he let everybody else know how upset he was, to the point where people were avoiding him. Potential customers, people coming up, they didn't want to come up anymore because clearly this man was mad about something and telling them about how mad he was about the whole event.
Can't believe we lugged all this stuff here. So stupid. I hate this. I hate all these people. Oh, except you, sir. Enjoy.
And then the guy who was next to him, who was a chef, distanced himself because he was like, this guy is like being super negative.
Give me a break.
What's that?
These people here are unbelievable, right?
Uh-huh.
This whole thing is total BS. Oh, are you trying to move your booth?
What? No. No, we're getting a little sun over here.
So people were just starting to avoid him because he was being so negative, and that never went anywhere. They got back onto the ferry and the kids gave him the trophy and he was super happy about it. He's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm not mad anymore. He never learned anything in that process, and that's what I don't like. He didn't learn how his negative energy was affecting the people around him, and I don't appreciate that. Of course, bad things will happen to you, negative circumstances, all of that. You can't control that. What you can control is your reaction to it and how you will move forward. But he decided to hold on to that frustration so much so that he let it affect his business. He could have listened to Linda. Linda said, this is still a good opportunity for us to get some exposure, be able to give our food to people here on King's Head Island, and hey, maybe another opportunity would come up for them if he had just rolled with the punches. But he didn't. He decided to stay mad and lost that opportunity. And I just don't appreciate that because I think that he self-sabotaged yet again. Bob is not a great businessman, as I have said, and we're well aware of. That's why Bob's Burgers doesn't really make good money. It's not for lack of good food, because Bob does make great food and he knows what he's doing. However, he is not a businessman and does not know how to promote himself well, market himself well, use the opportunities that he has to better himself in that. And that's the unfortunate thing. So I just didn't like how that ended. That's out currently for season 16. I believe the next episode is actually coming out at the end of April. I've heard like the 24th, the 26th, 28th, I don't know when, but the end of April is supposed to be when they come out with the next episode. So we're all on the lookout for that and excited for that, of course. But so far, how I feel about season 16 as a whole, I feel like it's a good season. It's solid. And I think that they have some episodes that, are a banger. But I feel a bit underwhelmed. It's not the best season that I've seen. I don't know if I can name off the top of my head which season I think is the best, but it's not this one. I think it started strong, but I feel like it's just kind of lost some of that whimsy that I think it used to have. And it's not necessarily that I want it to go back to just being complete chaos and just wild energy like in the early seasons, but I also just don't want it to continue being like super duper wholesome and no chaotic energy at all, because that was originally what kind of drew people to the show and made them fall in love with it. I feel like I want to see more of that balance and a bit of that unhinged energy again, while still tapping into some of that emotional vulnerability and character growth and stuff like that. It's a good season, but not the best. We'll see what happens with the last part of it. If you guys want to hear, I guess, more thoughts and reviews on the upcoming seasons, let me know. I know that they have been renewed until season 19, so some more content to come. But that's what I've got for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button for me. Also hit that subscribe button so that you can get the alerts for my videos and so that you can see this face a whole lot more. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.